Very good evening, everyone. My name is Willie on behalf of Huttons Lender Division or HLD. I welcome you to another installment, but this important one because it actually marks the start of the year, and we're going to do our quarterly landed market analysis, a synopsis, all right, analysis report, and this will cover the entire of 2025. While waiting for more people to join, what we can do is maybe just help us to understand whether you are attending this on the first, if this is the first time attending, all right? We're having a bit of a technical issue here, but let's just wait for. Okay, so maybe while waiting for the rest, please share with us if this is your first time attending the webinar. Usually, we attract quite a number of repeat customers, whether you're a buyer, seller. And if it's been more than 1 or 2 times, means for the last 3 to 6 months, you have not taken action, all right? So I'm joking, half joking. Okay, let's see. But we still have a lot of newcomers here, 63% so far. And how do you get to know about this? Maybe you can also share with us as well, right? You can comment. By the way, I will all the panelists here with me now. So if you have any questions, feel free to also ask as well. All right, as participants, you can ask your questions in the chat. You're on mute, cannot hear me. Eleanor, can you hear me now? Okay, good. Let's wait for maybe a few more seconds and we shall begin. How do you get to know about this webinar? Maybe some of you can share. Is it from Facebook, YouTube, TikTok? Are you invited by any Huttons agents? Are you an agent yourself? Have you seen any of our previous videos, for example, right? Invited by Huttons. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to have a long and, well, should I say long? Yes, interesting night, all right? Very comprehensive because we're going to cover quite a lot of things. All right, let's end this now and let me see whether we can continue. Okay, good evening once again. Okay, my name is Willie, so I'm the head of Huttons Lender Division. And importantly, I think here is the gentleman all sitting with me now. These are the fellow speakers for today's webinar, as for previous webinars as well. So we have all the leaders in respective of their in charge, respective ICs of the various districts. Okay, I'll let them introduce themselves in a while. Okay, so if you have not seen this before, we have also had the honor of appearing in various media articles as well about, I think, about HLD, about the landed property market, because that's not just a passion, right? A lot of agents say your passion, but this is something that we've dedicated ourselves to more than 12, this is what, 13 years ago. Okay, right? And this is the team. I'm sure many of you have been invited by either one of them, more than 100 now. And counting, although some are not pictured here, right? So, but most important is, I think, the social media. If this is the first time that you've heard about this or seen this, please do yourself a favor. If you're interested in landed property, what's available on sale, knowledge, and all this as well, you can just join the various social media, all right? From Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you just have to search Huttons Lender Division, then click like, follow us. On the left will be the website. That's something a bit more unique. Okay, so there were actually, I think now showcase about 500 over internal listings, okay, of landed properties on sale. There is, however, another layer of the website, which if you have been speaking to our landed consultants, HLD, we call ourselves HLDians, by the way, yeah, they will be able to show you probably another 1,000 more. Okay, long story short, right? As mentioned, this is not the first time we're doing. We've done this, I think, for about, what, 5 years, 6 years? My gosh, time has passed. All right, it's from, let me see whether there's a 2019 here. Can you see here? 2019 quarter one. Yeah, so not the first time, but every webinar, there's news and discovery. The last one is on quarter three, okay, 15th of October. Basically, we do on the 15th of the start of the next month. And if you have missed this, this is a QR code for you to log in. You can just scan this. If not, you can go to our YouTube channel as well, right, to find a full, I think, probably 2 hours webinar. Right. Disclaimer, our data, because today is the 15th, we need some time to compile. So we could only take the data from 10th of Jan, all right, about 5 days ago. So as you know, URA data, they change, unfortunately, right? It's a bit volatile, even if you see some reports. It'll take some time. So if some of you have some access to URA data, you may see some numbers may not tally because of the 5-day difference, right? Today is the 15th, okay? Okay, importantly, today's sequence. So we do introduction. The highlight for today is obviously on 2025. Not only do we have one, two, we're going to highlight basically 8 things you need to know, all right, in this 365 days across the entire lender market. This will take about 30 minutes. Then we'll go by the various region highlights. And then very importantly, a lot of you are here for the market outlook. What's going to happen in 2026 for the lender market. So stay tuned, be patient towards the end. Okay. All right, so let's start. How many of you here, by the way, with the advent of technology, right, and ChatGPT? So, for example, I'd ask you, how did 2025 fare? Is this your first response, by the way? How did Singapore landed property market perform in 2025? Those who have it with you, you can go and check. Okay, I think consumers are getting more savvy now. Even we agents are also cross-checking against technology aids like this. But if you have not, this is probably what you will see based on the latest performances. Okay, 7.7%. There's something on quarter four, etc. Okay, and 2,000 per square feet since the beginning of the month. Are all this correct? Yes, as verified by our data. Okay, and what is the point? Hold on, let me just go back. Right. Thankfully, I think with this, does that mean that you don't need a deeper analysis? Is this sufficient? If this is sufficient, then you all would not be here, obviously. Okay. I think we pride ourselves by probably being the only team that dive as deep, probably dive the deepest into the data that we have. I don't know how many lines, countless, to give you a lot more insights, a lot more stories behind this, let's say 7.7%, which I'm going to come to in a while. Right. So much so that you can see this, I think, if you've been to our previous webinars, these are the previous ones. After this webinar, I think consistently we have clocked more than 1,000 views, right? So more than 1,000 views, a number that you should remember, I'm going to refer to later, consistently every quarter almost, okay? So now then let's come back to real data then. So just now we saw ChatGPT, the 7.7%. This is based on the flash reports by this URA, right? Based on PPI, right? Flash estimates, because even for, I think URA, even for business times, they need some time. So one thing to just think of is for PPI, it measures, I think there's a basis point, which is 100 points per se. So for our analysis, which a lot of our clients appreciate a lot more, we actually use the per square feet, right? Average per square feet to measure value, because a PPI, let's take a number from here, landed property, you can see here 253.4. It doesn't help you when you try to determine your selling price. All right. So for this, this is an indicator. Would it deviate? Yes, it will. All right. But we're going to use per square feet using URA and SRX to a certain extent to come up with the graphs, right? Before we talk about the whole of 2025, let's take a very quick snapshot on what has happened in the last 4 quarters. This is value, and you can see the per square feet here, right? Year started with slightly under 2,000. Quarter one, it went up to 2,000, crossed 2,000. First time, dip a bit. So Q1 plus 3%, quite a strong one. Q2, you know what happened. There's all the threat of global tariffs, softened a bit. Q3 was a strong growth, 4.4, and for quarter four, it continued. All right, we actually did our last webinar in quarter three, right? In the last 3 months absence, it has continued to grow from another astounding 3%, which is quite unusual. Usually for quarter four, it doesn't grow as much due to festive season. Okay, so what does this mean? If you add up everything together, right, you're going to see, oh, sorry, before that, I talked about volume as well. This is on volume. So you can see the bars here. After Q1, that was deep from a very strong Q4 last year, Q2, Q3, even Q4. Okay, this is took us by surprise. You usually don't see a stronger Q4, quarter four than Q3. But the last year was an exceptional year, okay, in terms of volume, right? With this combined together, the entire year looks like this. Okay, I'm going to pause for a while if this is the first time you are seeing this. So we have the same indicators, average PSF, all right, and then the volume represented by the bars, all right. This is an annual for the last 10 years from 2016 all the way to 2025. Okay, so you have the value here and then the volume, right? So volume just now we saw is a strong growth of 9%. Value we usually indicate with a single decimal point has grown by 7%. And what is important is it has crossed $2,000 per square feet island-wide, all right? Island-wide, whether regardless of districts and of course tenure, etc. Okay, so this is a very, very strong robust growth. If you remember 1 year ago when we make a prediction, frankly speaking, our value estimation was half and we actually estimated volume to actually decline, okay, because we had a pretty strong 2024. All right. So of course, compared to, you can still look at last 10 years, no year has surpassed 2021, but at 1008, this is one of the strongest years in the past 10 years, right? So first highlight is that there's a strong volume and value growth. Okay, reflects that. Of course, you understand last year was not exactly a smooth sailing year in terms of especially global economic tensions, for example. But I think despite that, this has shown that the domestic factors such as strong economy, second half of the year, we see interest rates dropping below 2%. I think upgraders demand as well, right? From the bottom, okay, you notice here we say from the bottom and from the top, revival of also GCBs from the top, right? Overcame the global geopolitical instability to emerge much stronger. For those who have seen the data, you notice that actually non-landed actually grew by only about 2.4 to 2.5%, right? Even with launches reaching new high, right? Even with new launches reaching new high, but landed is the one that grew almost 3 times at 7%. Okay. Now, next few slides is going to show you what contributed to the plus 7%. Okay. Is it so easy to say, okay, 7% growth everywhere grew by 7%, right? Or volume grew by that? Now, I think our focus is more on value, whether you're a buyer or seller. All right. A poll that usually we do, but I think most of you should be, I think, generally more buyers than sellers, right? But regardless, I think we can now try to, let me see whether the poll is ready for this. Okay. Make a guess. If you were to segment the market into 3 price points, the below 5, right? Below 5 million, you have the 5 to 10, and then above 10. Okay, above 10. To make it a bit simpler, where do you think the growth came from? Okay, which of the following price segments do you think contributed most to the overall market growth? Let's see whether the poll works, because we had a hiccup just now. And you want to make a guess? Let me see. 2. Okay, good. Launch. Make a guess. Of course, for us in the market, we have felt that quarter by quarter. But if you are looking at this for the first time or you just enter the market, all right, whether to sell or buy, where do you think which of this actually contributed to the most? Okay, very, very interesting. We have pretty good mix, except for the above 5. Good chat, huh? Below 5 mil, 10 mil. Okay, good. All right, let's review. Have you all put in answers? 43, only 43? Just make a guess. There's no right or wrong. And frankly, by the way, you're all anonymous. We don't know who you are. Anyway, all right. Read the question carefully. Which one contributed most to the growth? Maybe one tip could be, which is the volume generator, right? Another way to look at it is, which is the value generator? I give you a clue, is something that's a bit out of our expectations as well. I think some of you are changing answers. 48. Can we get 50 entries? 48. Maybe some of you can just make a guess. All right, let's review, yeah? Okay, oops, sorry, share results. Can you see the results now? Okay, your results. I'm not saying this is the truth. So there's below 35% thing is below 5, okay? More than half things is 5 to 10, yes, because maybe it's the middle ground. And above 10 million, 16%. 16%. I shall review the answer in a while. All right. Now, firstly, now this is not a full answer yet. Just want to show you the proportion, okay? The proportion of transactions accounted by each of these price point. All right. So 5 million, let's take a look at this first. 2024, all right, it was 61% of all transactions. Last year, it dropped by 10%, okay, below 5 million. Okay, where did the growth goes to? Big chunk went to the 5 to 10 million. I think some of you voted for this. You may think this is the main contributor. Above 10 million also increased from 8 to 11%, right? So 8 to 11%. What does it show? What does it tell you, right? More and more people are buying above 5 million and above 10 million properties. Yes, right? Below 5, is it because there are no buyers or is it because the prices have all risen? Okay, it could be both. We'll see in a while. Okay. So I'm going to stop at this chart. I'm going to break down that range that you saw just now, three, can you see it? 3 to 5, then 5 to 10, and then 10 and above. Right. Many numbers here, by the way, will be available. So don't worry about too much about the details. You can screenshot this, you can refer to the webinar video, recording YouTube later. Right. Just want to highlight your attention how to read this. This is the volume 1683 to here. So grew by about 9%. Okay. You can see here, just take a look at this first. Are you surprised to see that for the segments below 4 million, all right, below 3, and here, all dropped? Is it because people are not looking for value anymore, or are there just not enough sellers, not enough houses selling below $4 million? And you can see, I think below 3 million, we still have 141, yeah? Soon, maybe in a few years' time, this is going to get less and less with inflation and the rise of property. But the point I want to make here is, take a look at this. If I compile all this together, right, under 5 million actually dropped by 9%. Okay, drop by 9. Uh, the 5 to 10 increased by 35% total volume. And very surprisingly, the segment that contributed most in terms of the volume growth by almost 50% is above 10 million, right? Above 10 million. Take, for example, above 50 million. Last year, there's only one. Now there's 5, right? There's 5. All are obviously, you can guess, is GCBs, right? So now, another chart, if you are looking at this for the first time, is about the average PSF and average price. Okay, average price is, by the way, not PPI, is also not PSF. It's very difficult for you to extract this even from public sources. All right, so after getting the number, collating that, we managed to understand this. So same price range. Again, I draw your attention firstly from here. Important first number is, so in 2024, the average price of all landed properties transacted is about 5.6. Okay. In 2025, it has grown by 13% to 6.3. So a lot of buyers have been reaching out to us. Oh, really, Justin, my budget is under 5 million. You can realize you're below the average by quite a lot. Even $6 million doesn't make you a very comfortable price. Of course, depending on which district and what house type. Okay. Because the average has grown very, very significantly. Okay. You go a bit deeper into the numbers, pardon me. Okay. If you see here, so the under 5 million, the average price has increased by 4. 5 to 10 is actually pretty flat. Okay, pretty flat. And then you have another growth generator above 10 million, which is by 4%. Okay, by 4%. And PSF wise, you have actually the above 10 million growing the most, okay, plus 9%, and followed by below $5 million because some of the sizes will get a bit smaller. Later, I'll show you how. Okay, so which category are you in and how does that affect you? I hope these are some questions that you think as we move along the webinar, all right? And feel free to ask us. Okay. Okay, what is interesting here, let's take a look at the above $10 million. Okay, you notice that if you split this up further, the 10 to 20 mil actually shows the biggest growth in PSF, all double digit, right? With 15 to 20 mil showing 21%. Mind you, it was already at what price? 2,000 per square feet. Now it's at 2,004. All right. Usually, the higher the price point, you have a lower per square feet. This is higher than almost every category. All right. Almost every category here. All right. Not forgetting later you go up more up, you can see this above 50 million, even crossing even higher one. All right. It's a very anomaly in terms of the total how basically value system works across all product types of services. Okay. So it's something unusual where the more rare, the more a higher quantum, you can actually fetch a higher price for certain types of properties. Okay. But how about 20 to 50 million? It is a reversal of what you saw, -6 and -13. So first thing I tell you about 20 to 50 million, what's the first thing you think about? GCBs, right? Good class bungalows. Although we have seen uh, normal detached houses also crossing the mark as well. So for the first time, we're going to show you a GCB trend. Okay, I don't think we've ever done this before. This is compiled by our GCB team within HLD. We have a team that specializes in that, and this is numbers compiled over the last 6 years. Okay, so volume you can see 20 here, and then last year wasn't that good, although it's recovered from 23, and then this year was a revival, right? 27 already. So remember what happened 1 to 2 years ago, where there's this outcry of money laundering cases, etc. Okay, so this was the year, by the way, 2023, where rental was an all-time high. You can fetch 100, 120,000, 150,000 rental. Okay, after that scandal, I think things are becoming back to normal, where owners are finding difficulty even to just rent out HGCB for 50,000, for example. Okay, so thereby increasing the supply, more sellers are willing to sell, right? And then it's going back to normal of 27, which is an improvement, all right, market improvement. Value is okay, it's almost $1 billion now. Average value has increased from 26 million, now it's 33 million, 26%. By the way, all the numbers here are pretty big, except for PSF. Okay. Average size, I think the appetite has also increased. Okay, from 12. Last 2 years, there's a lot of interest in the 10,000-ish smaller GCB, so to speak. But this year is back to normal, crossing the almost 17,000. Okay, this size have grown by that. PSF is about 4%. Okay. Now, if we were to exclude this 4%, by the way, because this number, 27, includes all the under 1,400 square meter houses, GCBs, okay, they're within the GCB zones, which are also captured here as well. But let's be very strict about it, and let's just look at, okay, the pure definition of GCB. Okay, pure definition of GCB. Actually, the PSF dropped by -10%. Okay. Right. So price range wise, some highlight number two, most affluent houses led the growth volume, all right, and PSF. The volume of entry level houses under five shrunk the most by 9%. Okay. So I think you can see that the return of the rich phenomenon into, for example, GCB, because by the way, last 2 years, 3 years ago, GCB market, because of the very high rental income, etc., the prices were inflated, asking price. Now I think a lot of them, the owners are a lot more realistic. Okay, so return of the rich, I think in many aspects of the economy, not just in property, but this is very evident in the landed property market. Okay. And also one of the reasons that we've also seen insights is because of interest rates coming down. I think a lot of people felt that putting into your fixed D or any other investments, or because it's a very volatile, let's say for stock shares market, a lot of people felt this is now at the highest point, too high for them to enter. Therefore, their interest shifted, okay, back to real estate. All right. Questions so far? If not, move on to terrace, semi-D, and detached. Usually, again, we ask, are you particularly now looking to buy, sell, terrace, semi-D, detached? All right, this will be a very, very relevant chart to you all because obviously among the 7%, the performance across the three are different. Right? First thing on the segments in terms of what happened to my D? Okay, detached, right? So terrace is always the top, but yes, dropped. Okay, you can see, I think this follows also the under $5 million mark where most terraces are priced. Semi-Ds has increased and detached has increased in terms of percentage. Okay, so let's talk about volume first. Okay, I think the first chart, and this is very consistent. We used to think that terrace will grow the most. Actually, it is the least performing in terms of volume, only by 3%, right? Followed by semi-D, and then you have detached. Okay, so growing by 20%. How does it translate into price? A bit more even here. Thankfully, easier to understand. You can see that the demand in terms of prices wise has spread quite fairly across the three types. All right. But what is interesting to note that is that the gap between detached and semi-D, can you see now that the detached has caught up with semi-D, and then also the gap with terrace, right, has increased a bit over compared to 1 year ago. All right, compared to 1 year ago. So by and large, with average island-wide of 2060, Terrace is almost 2002. The other two are about 1009, just for you to remember. Okay. So PSF growth is quite even. Semi-D detached has significantly in growth volume versus terraces. Okay. Were you surprised? I think for a lot of semi-D and detached buyers, they find it a lot more difficult to secure their dream terrace compared to last year. Oh, sorry. Terrace find it a bit more difficult to secure versus the other two. Okay. Supply is also another consideration as well. Next is freehold versus 99. Okay, a segment, this is a little baby of a 99 because HLD, we can actually sell quite a number of 99-year properties. So, but however, unlike 2024, where it account for 70%, I think one of the highest in the last decade, it has now gone back to a bit more normal, about 15%, right? 40%. And then freehold, 999, continues to dominate. So with this, let's take a look at the price first. So freehold 999 has crossed 2001 mark, 6.5%. Okay. Volume is 13%. Can you see now? This is the main driver of the entire market, right? With this in mind, 99, unfortunately, first has suffered a drop of this volume, okay, by 13%, thereby also pulling down the value with a quite modest growth of only 2.6%. Now it's at 1,005, right? 1,005. Okay. So main reasons, I think besides declining lease, because a lot of these 99 years, majority of them built in the 90s, they're left with 60 plus years. Frankly, whether you're left with 66, 67, 68 shouldn't be the main thing. But it could also due to, because from what we have seen, all right, is due to larger houses, larger 99-year houses and or leases with shorter lease. We're talking about 20, 25 years. Something that HLD, we have this sold, right, or transacted. Frankly, three of them, all of which are detached houses, were concluded or transacted by HLD in Q4 of this year. All right, so we have a quite interesting insight into this very niche market. Next is new versus resale. How many of you here are buying only brand new houses? Okay, brand new houses versus resale. Okay, let's take a look at first resale. Yeah, so this one is a more stuck versus 99 years. The proportion of new houses are really, really small. Majority is still resale. Okay, so what was 93 now went up to even higher at 97%. Okay, new houses now become only 3%. Let's take a look at resale houses first. Needless to say, since it contributed 90 over percent, this is very in tandem with what we saw. So I won't go too much into this, right? Let's take a look at new houses. Okay, new houses for quite some time. We were always wondering, can you see here, 23, 24, how can new houses average price be only, all right, relative to resale, 2005, less than 2005, and 2024, less than 2003. Is that possible? For those who have followed us, you will know that a lot of this is new to one launch called Poland Collection, right? To give you some numbers, out of the 83 here, do you know how many was taken up by that? Why I mentioned Poland Collection? Because that's 99 years, all right? Most of new houses are freehold, 999. So out of the 83, 68, all right, 68 are contributed by Poland Collection at an average price of about 2,002, 2,227, okay? But this, the proportion has dropped in 2025 significantly. Out of the 58, only 34 units were sold. Poland Collection, even after they launched Poland 2. Now there's a part 2. Average price of slightly higher, 23 to 25. Okay, so thereby, I think allowing the rest of the normal freehold new landed houses now, if you're seeking for one and you see 3,000, 3,005 per square feet, is really not unusual, right? Especially for the terraces. Okay, so the price have finally come back. Frankly speaking, if one more year later, less of the Poland, less of 99, I think this will reflect a more realistic picture of the new houses. Okay, So thanks to that, or due to that, volume has dropped to 58. If you minus that, frankly, every year you have 10, 20 new houses sold island-wide. Okay, so island-wide. And like new condos, you will see maybe hundreds of agents trying to market them. Yeah. Okay, substantial decline. I won't go to this. Okay, four more points. Where do you think are the four more highlights? Three more. Let's now take a look at Strata landed. Any of you looking at Strata landed now? Okay, is your reason because of affordability? Like some of our buyers, like those that I think we're also marketing some as well. Okay, because you're upgrading, let's say from HDB or EC or condo, right? Firstly, it's quite stable. What used to be about 80+%, right? 12, 13% is still at 12, 13% in a sense. But let's take a look at the price, okay? So what is significant here is in 2025, Strata landed. Obviously, by the way, we don't group this together with the rest because it's divided by the air space, Strata space, okay? Yet, it has crossed, for the first time, $1,000 per square feet. Okay, even for Strata. Mind you, buy a normal Strata, easily they have what, 3,000, 3,005? Right, 4,000, 4,005. So you're multiplying by that instead of the land size. Okay, so 1,000, depending on your budget and the size, if let's say it's 4,005 times that is actually quite substantial. You'll be a 4.5 million property. Okay, so it has shown the popularity has shown in terms of volume 7% and price almost 6%. Okay, island-wide again, once again. Okay, Strata versus landed. Growing in tandem with the landed, affordability remains a strong proposition, like I mentioned earlier. Will this continue to grow up? I think as the freehold properties continue to go up, just like 99, it will continue to pull up the price of Strata landed. And now that, by the way, Strata you compare with a lot of condos, right? And you can see the condo prices, especially the newer ones, are crossing levels that we've never seen before. Okay. All right, next is core versus non-core. Now, this is our favorite topic, okay? Because I don't think anyone, any agent, any company classifies the market into these two main topics, okay? Which is obviously districts, you understand. But what do we mean by core and non-core? First, let's just understand, let me explain to you that these are chosen as the core, it's a HLD definition, because statistically they contribute about 85, 86%, all right, of all the landed transactions in Singapore. Not that the rest are not important, but we just basically focus those that has a consistently a lot of transactions. Okay, all right. So you can see 83, and then core districts has outperformed in terms of contribution. Now it's about 84%. Right? These are the 11 districts, which, by the way, if you are invited by HLD consultant, we belong to either one of these. Okay, because this is how we group ourselves and to focus as well. Now let's take a look at the performance. Okay, lots of numbers here, same 10-year. So let me just draw your attention to here first, 9%. Let's start from the bottom. How do we then split this core and non-core? All right, out of the 9%, it's very simple. For this entire year, it's a very pretty much even split because both core and non-core grew by about the same percentage, 8 and 9%. Right? Within the core, that's where it gets a bit interesting. Can you see Central region, all right, which is District 10, 11, grew, and West region to a certain extent. West has District 21. I think the two areas where there's the most number of GCBs and higher value properties, right? They grew the most in terms of transaction value. Not surprising. Okay, the only region that is the East region is showing a very strong growth. Only one that's a bit more flat, if not negative, is the Northeast region. Right. Above this, there are a lot more numbers, which I will let my district ICs elaborate later. Okay. Clear so far? Do stop me if you ask me to slow down. Now I'll move on. Volume, right? How does this translate in terms of value? This is always the most interesting chart that even I myself, when I prepare, I'm curious to know. Again, recap 2060, 7%. Okay. Now, for the first time after doing this for 5, 6 years, I have never seen all blue. Okay. Have you seen now there's a pattern? Now blue is a positive, red is a negative. I've never seen a all blue. Non-Chinese speakers out there, pardon me. Normally they 清一色, right? That means now is what, 蓝一色, I don't know. Everything is blue. There's no drop at all. which means that the growth is very, very well distributed across the various districts. Of course, there's percentage growth difference here and there, right? But I think that's the first thing you need to know. And if we look a bit more closely at the numbers here, you see a lot of tools now versus the past few years. Okay, a lot more tools. For example, District 14 crossing 2,000, right? And then you have District 19 almost touching there. You have District 28 also crossing 2,000, right? At the same time. Soon, who knows? 1, 2 years later, your every number will start with 2. Okay. One point to take note, there are some districts here unfairly judged because there's a higher percentage of 99-year properties, right? Even including District 10 and 11 as well. You might be wondering, District 10 seems like a good value, 2004 versus District 15, for example, okay? Or even, let's say, comparing to, let's say, District 28, it's only 20% difference. Take note, there's a lot more 99 here, okay? Again, the ICs will elaborate further. Okay, so how about the non-core? I know some of you are looking at this area. Later, I'll come to a very interesting conclusion. Okay, a lot of districts here. You can see also all blue except for 4. Okay, District 4, where is it? It's Sentosa. Okay, Sentosa. With the, basically, we've mentioned this many times because ABSD, etc. So for people to come in, I think they expect a significant discount. All right. One thing that's good later, if I have time to show you, is that the transaction volume there has increased quite a lot, right? We saw a volume growth that's a bit more balanced. So let's take a look at value. Even though Singapore total grew by 7, are you surprised to know that actually the one that grew more is non-core districts? Okay, 16%. Now it's at 1,008. In the past, the gap was what, 300 and was about 22, 23%. This is about $360 per square feet last year, right? This year, the gap has closed to less than $200 per square feet, right? One of the reasons, again, is about affordability. So we have a lot of buyers come. Let's say, for example, I go to District 19. I can't find something that I like. The terrace are expensive, for example. They go straight to somewhere a bit closer. If they cannot go to 28, they can go to 26. That's nearby, for example. Okay, same for east side as well. You have 17, 18 catching up in terms of interest if you're priced out in the popular districts like 15 and 16. Okay, so, right. So what can we conclude here? Non-core enjoy similar volume growth throughout, okay, but a lot more buyers seeking affordability have pushed the PSF to a very strong 16.1% growth. Okay, are you also similarly looking at this area? I think have a chat with us. Even though it's not in our GTA per se, we have also transacted houses outside our these 11 districts. Okay. Right, next, also one of my favorite analysis. It's not something that a lot of agents do, and of course, it takes a longer time to find out, but it's very interesting because we're going to see the relationship between average PSF, which we've been talking about, and average price, and put them together, layer with the core and non-core, right? 3 different elements coming together. Because it's an important factor, because a lot of us are purely looking at average PSF. And then you start realizing, for example, no, my PSS is correct. Why is it that, for example, I can't sell the house? Or as a buyer, why is this a PSF so low? Let's say for a corner terrace or a very big semi, for example. Okay. And then when you layer with average price, which is the average, we are talking about the quantum per se, the amount that's going to come off your pocket, you start to realize, and the next few charts is going to help you understand, okay, whether you are within the normalcy of a market or not. Right, big chart here, so we can go a bit slowly. Okay, so you see 2024, 2025, plus minus. I only have average and size. Okay, understand? So let's come to the bottom first. Total Singapore, all right. We have average price, just now was 5.5 to 6.2, 13 we already saw. Now the size, okay, so Singaporeans, how Singapore landed houses, larger ones are being transacted. Last year was 3,000, the first time it's crossed this. And then now people are buying larger ones at 3,000 to 5% growth in terms of the size. Okay. Is this even across core and non-core? Okay, you can see first. Okay, since we are at others, it was at 2008. Now people are very strangely, interestingly, as they seek more value, they're actually buying slightly larger, 4% smaller. All right. But they are willing to pay 15% more. From 4.1, now this is 4.7. Remember, the average is 6.2, right? So you can find the average price under 5 million. You have a lot more options in this area, right? Whereas for core is 6.5. It's actually very strong growth in terms of price, much higher than basically the non-core, and then the size is 7%. Okay. Question so far? Does that surprise you? Okay, one thing we like about the full year data, it erases a lot of the quarterly so-called outliers in a sense, right? One full year, we have 1,800 transactions. A lot of things are more even out, and you can see the trend a lot more clearly. So last highlight is that buyers have generally bought larger houses, okay? Generally have a bigger budget to play with, plus 13% average price, all right? But preference for large houses, however, are a lot more evident in the core districts, okay? So while the value seekers are going there in the main area, the 80+%, I think most people are upgrading within these districts, right? With this, what are then the highlights in the various regions and districts? Again, is another way. In fact, this is the biggest chunk of analysis, right? Because a lot of us are location specific. You have specific the regions, districts that you're looking for, either because your parents are staying there, your schools are there, you're familiar, you grew up in a condo in a particular area, right? With this, before we go there, maybe you can let us know. All right, let us know right now. What is your, let me see. Where are you looking at? Okay, we launched this, right? Please let us know whether you're buying or selling. Do let us know your interests. Which district are you particularly looking at? Sorry, you can only choose one, unfortunately. So, okay, find the one that's closest. I know some of you have are open, all right? Just before this, I have a teammate who just texted me, open to everywhere. This is very rare. I think in Singapore, whether you're buying condos, HDB, etc., usually we are quite specific with where, or at least we have a narrowed focus in terms of where we want to stay, right, to live in. So, a couple more seconds. Only 17? No, we have almost 100 people here. Maybe the rest can help us to understand as well. There'll be no biasness. We'll be presenting all the 11 districts with equal importance, but we're just curious to know which one. And then my ICs are now staring at it to know which one has the highest rank. Okay. Traditionally, we have the base just purely of volume 19, 15, 10, etc. So this today, let's see where the split's going to be. Right. Welcome back for those who took a break and take a look. Please help us to participate in this poll. All right. Let us understand a bit better. Cedric, our District 20 IC, just so he can. Maybe we skip 23 since nobody's interested in 23. We save everybody some time. He just said, okay. Joke, but that's true. Nobody interested in 23? Really? Okay, 21, etc., etc. Maybe have a bit more responses. I know it's a long webinar, understand. By the way, in the YouTube version, we're going to split it up. There's some timestamps, right? Easier for you. The good thing, the benefits the most, people benefit the most are those you're a bit indecisive. I'm looking at 15 and 16, usually our buyers are there, right? Unless, okay, I only die at 115, then yes. Okay, 1 out of 11th of the entire webinar you'll find relevant. The rest may not be relevant to you. But if you have the time, just listen, because my ICs have prepared a lot of insights, and who knows, or some are crossing districts from the east, you're moving to the west or northeast, etc. I think then the multiple districts analysis will come in very useful. Okay, let me end the poll and show the results. Just curious, can you see the number or just the percentage? Just the percentage. You can see the number as well. Okay. All right. So popular district 10, 17, 19, 15, not unusual. 28, 17. Okay, others. Okay, others. Right. Okay, District 23. Okay, poor Cedric. Never mind. So later, talk a bit faster for 23. Huh? 1. Is it? No, don't have.
That's what the in the chat.
Oh, okay, understand.
Big one.
Okay, big one. Okay, understand. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Where are we going to cover next? Let me bring your attention back to here again. All right. HL, the geographically, London market or in Singapore are organized this way. So Our HLD management and also our teams are also structured this way, right? We have the Northeast, East, Central, and West. So the starting in no order importance will be Central. Oh, maybe there is since most of the highest growth comes from the above 20 million. So we'll have Will, all right, over here to start the synopsis on District 10 and 11. Will, please.
Thank you, Willie. Yeah, so a quick dive for this entire District 10 and how this 10 and 11 has performed throughout this entire 2025. So again, area has been segregated by subzoning, which we have mentioned quite a few times ago. I mean, sometimes back. So right now, bringing to at one glance some of district highlights. Okay, they will see a significant increase in terms of volume, where you got a growth of 33%, but again, a slight dip in price by 19%. But if not, PSF has grown up quite a fair bit by 2.8%. So these are the chart. What does this chart mean to you? Which will highlight to you later, right now. I mean, not later, but right now. So Terrace House, in average, okay, has a significant increase. You will see more houses. Previously, we have houses that you are, like what Willie had mentioned, Terrace House at 5 million, over at D10, D11. Terrace House right now, I think the cheapest that's being transacted is about 5.4, all the way up to as much as 8 over million for a terrace. No, and of course, PSF have went up quite a fair bit as well. To be very frank, this is average, but in actual fact, what is the real PSF? We have seen houses that cross 4,000 for the brand new one. For those that is old, probably at 3,000, 3,000 odd, 3,000 itself, 3,100. And next, semi-D, the dominant house type in 10 and 11 as well, increased by 13. PSF has increased by 3.5%, bringing the average price, or rather the average PSF to $2,502. All right. Detached decreased slightly in 10 itself. Mainly there's a bigger house type that's being transacted. PSF has dipped because houses are over. Some of the houses here are rather old, so it pushed out the price. And of course, some of the detached over here transacted are facing the main road, so you got quite a fair bit of road noise, all these things. So it pulled out the entire price and PSF. GCB, not this time round is stronger compared to 2024. 2025, we see bigger transaction, which just happened, and therefore a big significant jump in price by 24.3, and PSF has rose by a 3.1%. Okay, so here are the record for this entire year. You will see cheapest one, Terrace. Okay, this house is next to the main road, 6 Avenue main road, so it only commands at 5.1. And the cheapest or the lowest PSF that's been traded is 1533. This GCB at Holland Road. All right, Pierce, this house has transacted the highest quantum at 148 million. So it's a very huge plot of land, 8,000 over square feet. Yeah. And next is this semi-D, brand new. Okay, this house is of a good location in terms of proximity. It's talking about proximity to school, like Raffles Girls, convenient to MRT, convenient to all the groceries, amenities, eateries are all within the region. Have command astonishing for 4,461 PSF. All right. So some of the sorry, just a minute. Okay, yeah. So some deeper dive. Semi-D, as mentioned, is one of the main contributor to D10. So you will see price has eventually increased. In fact, right now, as we are speaking, you see these two numbers, 8 million to somewhere slightly below 50 million. These are the common numbers that's always happening for the past 2 years. But right now, you will see a shift in terms of price. Higher price, like 10 to 40 million, are mainly dominant by, other than only a fair bit of detached. The rest are all semi-Ds, okay, mainly because of condition, and secondly, bigger land size above 3,009. So with this 3,900 square feet of land size, we got about 43 units that is sold within, this range. I mean, with this land size sold within this price, which are all the semi-Ds. All right. So semi-D also contributed to the high PSF, okay, especially just now the one that I showed you guys, the brand new one. Other than this, we also have another one that's being transacted at about 4,100 plus, which I did not highlight, but these are all brand new houses. Okay, next, detached. Because detached right now, we'll see there's quite a fair bit of rate in District 10 itself, right? But what contribute to all these numbers in red? These are all the houses that I mentioned earlier, okay? Facing the main road, okay? Main road junction, older house, okay? Has all pulled down the overall price. And the next one, you see the box unit in highlighted in blue, okay? This Robbie Close is actually sold to a developer at an astonishing price of 2,442 PSF. Guess how much they're going to put it out in the market in the near future, right? This will tell us that the price, you will see an increase in PSF in the near future, especially moving forward 2026. Okay, some of hot listing on hand. Okay, this terrace house with quite a nice view at the back, asking for 6.5 million. And next is a corner terrace. Right now, asking slightly below the average at 2713 PSF. Holland, this semi-D is one of the thing you guys should explore, mainly because it has a natural basement and is actually built on the elevated terrain, surrounded by all the detached neighbors, okay, asking for 10.48 million. Next is this quiet landed enclave tucked in a quiet area of Holland. This house is detached, has a relatively good size of 5,672 at 15.78 million. So some of the listing that we have on hand, do approach any of our consultant who have engaged you guys over. All right. If not, I will head into District 11 to show you what's happening next. So again, District 11, we also dissect the area accordingly. So let's take a look how D11 has performed. It's all blue. Unlike D10, there's some red, but this D11, that's all blue, including other than the average, the sales volume, price have increased significantly by 29.5%. PSF has rise on the average of 2,634 PSF. So terrace house, okay. Here we see terrace house on the average of increasing by a 9.3%, bringing from previous year of 7.18 million all the way to 7.85. It's also mainly one of the main contributor for both price and PSF increase are also because there is more newer house that's been transacted within this area. So for semi-D, 5.1% from previous 9 or 9, slightly 9, right now to be close to 9.5, and the rest and so on. Detached has dropped a fair bit in terms of PSF at 2,442 PSF. Okay, other than that, GCB, there's only this number cannot be compared because there's only one that's transacted in the year of 2024. So it's just a gauge on the price right now. The average price for GCB in D11 is at 41.8 million. So here are some of chart that we dissect again. These are all the houses that's been transacted. As mentioned, 5.4 million, one of the lowest within D11. Lowest PSF, detached, okay, at 14.26 PSF, $1,426. Highest price goes to this GCB at Jones Road. Big land, again, 5.8 million. And this house, semi-D, that's at crossed 4,000, Okay, more in-depth analysis for this segment, the terrace house, as mentioned, mainly contributed by brand new. That's why you see a big significant jump. But again, being said so, as we are talking, there's some resale unit as well that crossed the 7 million mark that make up of the entire, in fact, the entire D10, D11 has performed about, the terrace has about 45% of the unit crossing that the 7 million barrel. Okay. So by the way, if I say I'm going to exclude all these brand new terrace, corner terrace house type, the average price for a terrace within D11 is looking at 6.76 million, average PSF of 3042. Next, we'll jump into detached. As detached here also decreased. Okay, what contribute to the decrease? Okay, sorry. Okay, unfortunately, I did not manage to highlight the box, but you can see west facing Barker Road. This unit back faces building, tall buildings. Okay, these are all one of the main contributor to a lower PSF below the $2,200 mark. All right, older house that require rebuild. Here are all the older house that require rebuild. This house at Parkville has a long driveway. And the last two units at Ken Hawk with back-facing expressway selling at 1,461 and below. All right. So some of the hot listings that's available, please take a look. Something that might interest you, as mentioned, average price of a terrace. Okay, we got one terrace at Novena at 6.18 million. And of course, we are talking about lower quantum. If you don't mind, you are looking at we got another one at Hillcrest, 2871 PSF, rather attractive for a very good size land. And of course, the next corner terrace, also quite a relatively attractive PSF. Next, the detached link bungalow. All right, asking for 2717. So here are the listing. Again, please contact the consultant who have invited you here. Next, I will okay, before we hand over to Sean, just to reiterate what I mentioned, semi-D, semi-D and detached are one of the predominant, okay, house type that make up of D10 and D11. But with the limited supply of terrace, right now in 2025, 45% of this home has hovered across the 7 million mark. So with this average PSF for this entire district, 10 and 11 is around 2005, but of course, new house carry on to cross the 4,000 XXX PSF threshold. And of course, for those condos and high net worth individual looking to, come into this area will expect to pay a higher price, mainly due to the limited supply. Within D10 itself, landed usually quite a small supply. Top schools, D10 itself has many top schools, and of course, those houses that are closer to city fringe would tend to draw more attention, right? And of course, with this forecast, we also projected, a moderation of 2.2 to 3% growth, with a future with all this market uncertainty from US that actually will unfold, probably comes within the next few months. Probably some of the homeowners may find that, with this price, can we achieve 5%? A bit phobia. I usually have some reserve for myself, so I quote something lower. But if let's say the market works well, you should achieve 5%. Next year. Next, I hand airtime to Sean to talk more about Northeast region. Sean, please.
Right, good evening. So this period is actually the period that we are most excited, full year results, new year, new resolutions, and with that also something new for the audience. I think we've seen many familiar faces in the group today. I think shout out to James. You have inspired me to actually bring forward certain things to be reviewed during this webinar itself. So starting off from District 19, I guess already to all those who are familiar, this is how we segregate the district to make sense based on volume, based on similarities, right? So there are many, many ways we can actually analyze or dissect all the market trends, right? So main thing at a glance, this will only tell a single-sided story, right? So if you look at 2% more transactions, average price versus average PSF, it's an average value, right? I think what is more important for the upgrader especially is to understand what are the market gaps in the market. How then do you go in with the full source of information to make the best informed decision? So with that, this is something that we're very excited. I think Will also so excited that he hasn't reviewed this. This is our very brand new, all right, deep analyzer, only available to HLD, all right? So it allows us, I would say, more than 500 permutations, if you will, down to volume, PSF, all right, the average price, and all more than 40 different analytical points, okay? So this will give you a good glimpse of, let's say, District 19, especially if you're looking to sell, looking to buy, exactly what are you missing out on, right? So this is at a glance, the correlation between the different house types. So generally in the past, this was how as deep as we could go. Example, where are the gaps? What is the average value difference between, example, a semi-D and detached, so on and so forth, okay? So again, for the main segments, for the first time ever, we are actually showcasing corner terraces. This is often a segment that is never labeled, even let's say on URA or other agent platforms. Mostly corner terraces are actually lumped with inter-terrace. So the difference immediately becomes stark, right? If you're familiar, terraces are only about, in terms of land size, less than 2,000, whereas corner terraces share this very similar kind of requirements as a semi-D, yet is being lumped into the terraces segment. So by segmenting corner terraces for the first time, it gives you a much deeper understanding where exactly does this subclass fit into. Are we more aligned to inter-terraces, or are we actually more aligned to semi-Ds? Okay. So I won't dwell into the details. The recording of this seminar will actually be uploaded to our HLD YouTube channel. All right. Again, chart hoppers only for good to know basis. Okay. Obviously, for the highest PSF will be for brand new, but more interestingly is really onto the deep dive. All right. So in lieu of time, we will, based on the earlier post, I think most of you are looking at terraces, of course, that being the most voluminous transacted profile for landed. So main thing over here, you notice for District 19, it's pretty stable year on year. So at a glance, it may seem like, okay, terraces, we have the very comfortable volume, 2% decrease, all right? So it's nothing big, nothing small, but based on our new analyzer, look at the two most voluminous transacted areas. Of 131, in fact, for Kovan and Serangoon Gardens, our volume dropped, right? So what does it really mean? Does it mean that there are more buyers pivoting towards outside of these two popular areas? And in comparison, correlated to Serangoon Gardens versus Kovan, what are then the pros and cons? Going even deeper. So this is what we like. This is like analytical heaven. So many things we can go very, very deep. All right. So example, this will be Kovan versus semi-D. All right. This will be the kind of average price. So you notice over the last 5 years, post-COVID, the gap, sometimes there's a bigger gap, sometimes there's a smaller gap. So now the gap has been narrowing. So if you are on the fence thinking, which is better, Serangoon Gardens or Kovan? Actually, the answer is deeper than what is revealed on the screen over here. But at least know for the first time, the gap is just a mere 3%. All right. How then does the average PSF, the average kind of volume, also comparative to semi-Ds or detached, all right? All this, please, unfortunately, only reach out to your HLD consultants because all this deeper analysis is only available to the team, all right? So in summary for District 19, I think this one I won't go too much, but the main thing is on the main topic, how will 2026 actually pan out, all right? Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, etc., but based on data, based on supported data from the past many, many years, all right, it may seem that given the sentiment, it will be a little bit more challenging, right? Given that this segment, especially for District 19, is more of the upgrader segment, whereby most of the buyers actually come from HDB and condo, the resale market. If that were to really slow down, definitely the impact into the entry volume, the entry quantum, especially for the terraces, will be affected. And District 19 being the highest transacted in terms of the volume of all districts, this will hold testament for 2026, right? So the average PSF gain, all right, 2 to 3%. We leave the summary towards the end when it really covers through, yeah? Right, again, nowadays we'll have even more to actually share for the deeper dive, all right? Reach out if you want a very customized, down to example, you're facing. Are you facing east or rather, which is the most highly sought after facing, right, transacted house in, let's say, District 19 or even Kovan? Okay, for listing wise, this is those that are actually marketed by our team. These are the ones that gain the most traction for obvious reasons, right? So we have one of each. First one being Pohuat. Right, this will be a smaller terraces. Most of the houses in Kovan, they are 2 stories already originally. And on the right-hand side, we have something in Serangoon Gardens. Okay, moving on to the semi-Ds. You notice again why we are showcasing. Most of the preferences have shifted towards move-in conditions, right? Given that construction costs has been escalating year on year, right? The inflation and everything, but the downward pressure will be on the interest rates. So then all these quantums above 8 million becomes more and more palatable, right? Okay, these are the known number of houses that's on the market. Reach out again to those who have invited you to tonight's webinar. Okay, District 20. This one, I took the cue of James. If you're familiar with District 20, it's segmented, all right? My client James have told me that he is very tired of flyers. I will show you why, all right? So main thing for District 20, again, you can see the slight stagnation, but what's been very interesting is the average price increment, right? PSF seems to be stagnating around 4 to 5%, but it's very comfortable above the 2000 PSF mark, right? Likewise, these are the 4 segments now, 4 categories of houses rather. So you can see even 2023, something very interesting, right? Corner terrace and semi-D, what's the difference? Some may say that semi-D carries a prestige, Some may say that semi-Ds you pay a higher property tax. So which is better? It's all subjective, right? So at a glance again, the only exception, the only rate, in fact, it will be the detached. But again, for District 20, majority of the transactional volume is mostly on the inter-terrace corner, semi-detached, not so much. So with any transactional data, it will kind of skew the data by quite a bit, okay? So again, chart toppers, not going to dive very deep, but do know that there are sub 3 million houses still available in the market in District 20, though their land is going to be very, very small. So this one is like under 900 square feet. For the highest PSF, this will be the detached that actually took the cake per se, more than 13 million. So earlier in the webinar, some client just texted to ask, all right, one colleague, how many 10 million houses have you sold in the last year in the Northeast? Well, I would say the answer, actually more relevant, would be how deeply rooted are you in a district? If like District 20, for example, 13 million, it's going to take a long time, all right? Majority are all in the 6 to 8 million mark at best. Okay, again, for the lower ones, 99, there's only 3 transactions. So you notice the kind of pivot away compared to 2024, where more 99 were actually transacted, yeah? Okay, deeper dive. So client mentioned, Sean, when are you all going to launch your deep dive? This is what we have been getting in the letter boxes. So take a look at this. I think most of you here, even agents, will be very familiar. These are URA caveat. What does it show? Price, PSF, location, house type. What segregates something from, example, Jalan Pintau from Jalan Chempah? PSF difference of 3221 versus 4466. Well, your guess is as good as mine. So do you navigate millions of dollars in the dark, or are you being misled by all these flyers? So as a seller, you want the highest. As the buyer, you look at the lowest. But this is only on the surface, yeah? URA caveats. So the deeper analysis is really into the segmentation, not only by house types, house areas, and also by house categories in terms of how fully maximized they are, right? So for District 20, diving deeper into the terraces again, most of the transactions here are quite healthy in terms of, where they are distributed as well. But what really sets them apart, these are some of the main factors: number of stories, condition of the house as well, and more importantly nowadays is the land size, right? Something that you saw earlier, 800 over square feet, you're going to have a much, much higher PSF, right? So in the landed market, if you are new to this, per square foot is not per square foot per se. The larger it is in the quantum mechanics, the lower the PSF. It's really about the hierarchy of affordability, right? So this is another way of analyzing for District 20. Earlier, we have a few that were looking to rebuild, right? So looking at the terraces, the growth is actually a negative from 86 to 82, right? Year on year. But when we look at a single story, this has been something that we've highlighted several times throughout this year and even last year, where we see actually a decline in the number of transactional data for single story houses. So that's why I mentioned earlier, deep understanding, a grasp of a GTA, all right, in District 20, you will know single story only exists in only 1 to 3 estates throughout, all right? One of which is Sembawang Hills, the other one will be Thomson Ridge, of which this constitute all the transactional volume for single story in District 20. Obviously, what is at Sembawang Hills is very different from Thomson Ridge in terms of the average PSF, all right? Land size also. So with all this, you can actually compare what is a snippet below would be the difference between something that is brand new versus a single story. So you notice on the right-hand side, there's actually a spike, all right, this year in terms of the gap between buying land versus buying something that is brand new, okay? To know more, please reach out again, all right? So in summary, for District 20, affordability, as you will see, this is synonymous across the Northeast. It's really about affordability. Nobody in the right mind with 10 million is going to buy a $2 million house, right? They will go as far as they can get, right? Especially when the cost of borrowing is getting lower and lower, right? Really now we are one of the lowest points in the last 2 years. So we notice again the shift towards the stagnation of the single-story terrace, right? So what is the better value? People are still going towards larger 2.5 stories because you need more space. Terraces, you have something that's 1,002, you have some that's 2,000 and beyond. So my prediction is that as the single story prices, narrows down, also solely because of the rebuilding cost, it will make more sense for those who wants an ease of transition, right? If you're upgrading to the terrace, you need more than 5 to 6 rooms. Definitely, you need something larger in terms of the floor plate. Yeah. Okay, some of the more interesting listings. So this one, feel free to reach out. As with semi-Ds, right? Okay, so lastly, in lieu of the time, District 28. So every year we have to take the pleasure of extracting pollen collection, right? So these are the data for the resale. So it's one of the more well-to-do estates per se in terms of transactional volume. It's also the estate whereby we once dubbed it the most affordable district. So does it still hold its throne? One quick glance, right? Okay, one disclaimer. I think you've seen the news. There has been this mega bungalow that was sold in Begonia, the scam case. Yeah. So with that, it's caveated, no doubt. That's why you see for the detached, that's a huge jump. That's a multi-million dollar deal, but that's one off. So you see the kind of differentiating factor once there's an oddball coming in the transaction, right? But otherwise, the general trend is everything is flattening, but look at certain peaks in the corner terraces. So again, corner terrace is something very new, a new segment in itself, arising from our deep analyzer. Okay, at a glance, everything is blue without pollen collection, yeah? So straight away you can notice if you are staying in the inter terrace, okay, interestingly, you could have afforded, or rather, you could have upgraded to a corner terrace. Look at the price gap, affordability, 4 million versus 4.7, right? And granted, corner terraces are already 200 meters squared. It's going to be way larger than most of your inter terraces anyways, right? Likewise, the gap between the inter-terrace and semi-D, I will dive even deeper later. Okay, again, chart toppers, the one at Gerald Preston, this is the one that came out in the news, 22 million, yeah? Okay, Luxus Hills has always been the forefront of the PSF tanker, all right, always, and now it's benching 3,000 PSF. Yeah, 3.5 stories. Yes, and the land size, lo and behold, is only 1,615. So, if you were staying in Luxus Street, by the way, there's two transactions, right? One is in June, one is in September. These are cookie cutter units. So, just goes to show from June to September, this is still the prevailing PSF. What would it mean for 2026? Will we finally see a 3,000 PSF for a resale in District 28? So is 28 the cheapest already? All right, and these are some of the 99 ones. Okay, more interestingly, let's dive into the charts. Okay, for 2025, actually we saw the bumper crop, right? So for terraces, actually there's a huge jump, right? 23%. And these are this is at a glance, the number of stories. So this is something different again. So for District 28, very interestingly, we have single story, not a lot, and we have all the way up to 3.5 stories. So really, first thing to take note is not every estate is the same. Some areas they can go up to 3.5 stories, some areas they can only go to 2.5 stories per se, right? So understanding the difference, because what matters is really in terms of the GFA, or what most people coin as the built-up area. It matters, okay? So this is another interesting way to look at it. Is it finally, I mean, pun intended, sensible to rebuild? Because for 2 years straight, there has been, I mean, not to say straight, 2023 and 2025, there have been zero transacted brand new terraces in District 28. Why? How come? Right? So taking this angle, we can finally analyze the gap between a single story, right? It's the red color one, versus let's say something that is a 2.5 story. 2025 is interesting because the 2.5 story and the 3.5 story have the same quantum, not the same PSF, yeah? Same quantum. So it hovers around 4.2, 4.3, the average, yeah? So what will then be a brand new terrace be priced that is cleared to price to clear? Will it be something as high as above 5.5 in today's market? That is something to be seen, yeah? Okay, so most terraces owners I mentioned, they think that semi-Ds are expensive, but ultimately, without having the full sense or better grasp of the data, all right, you don't know what you're missing out. So from this chart, year on year, look at the incremental value, all right? What used to be below sub 4, now we are close to 4.2 for terraces. Whereas for semi-Ds, we hardly see any movement. So if I were you, sitting on a fence, especially terrace owners are looking to upgrade, would 2026 be a good, if not the best time? Yeah. So in short, again, District 28 being the populous one in terms of quantum affordability, we see more and more 2.5, 3.5 stories. Rarely we see the single story. Yeah. So in terms of asset progression, I mentioned for those who are looking to upgrade, especially having full knowledge, full insights into the current market actually matters. So you don't make a wrong move at the wrong time. Yep. So overall, we would predict that for 2026, there would be more or less a 5% increment even for semi-Ds, despite it being stagnating for 2025. Okay, if not, these are some of the popular listings that gaining a lot of traction. Of late, our team just transacted several single story, right? Most of them in the market were sitting there for a long time, but it's finally moving. So kudos to our teammates who have enlightened our buyers, right? Would this something at 3.45? Can you flip over at 5.5? Can the market sustain it? We will know soon. Okay, and these are some of the more popular ones. If you're looking for something that's fully maximized, something more modern, all right, District 28 is also known to have larger land plates, 4,000 over, at a more affordable so-called PSF. All right, and this is probably the $1,000,000 slide. How many terraces on sale versus how many semi-Ds? You tell me, call me up. Okay, so with that, we'll hand over to the east side, starting from Jason.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Hi, I'm Jason. Yeah, give me a minute to set up my thing. Yep. Okay, first of all, I will actually start with D13, District 13. One minute. Okay, as you can see, D13, overall transaction for the whole year actually dropped a little bit, not so much, is from 107 to 2025, only by 7%. And for the price, average price is also bring down average to 14%, while the PSF, in contrast, went out a little bit to 2001. So on average, right now, D13 or average price PSF, we are looking at 2000 all the while, and right now it's about 2001. Okay, this is quite a summary of the whole chart. Okay, on the so-called terrace and what does this mean to you? Let me check in detail. For terrace, we are seeing price increase. Okay, for terrace, we are seeing price increase mainly from the so-called average, the land size of average 1,005 and onwards. Corner terrace, not marginal increase, not so much, not very significant. While semi-D, we are seeing a price increase probably compared to this average PSF on the size, slightly bigger land size for semi-D. While the detached, we see a drop because of the land size actually dropped in comparison. And most of them actually right now, the smaller land size for detached are mainly for rebuild. Okay, chart toppers we have, as usual, the lowest quantum and the lowest quantum is always the land size, smaller land size in McPherson Garden, as you can see. This is actually 2003, 2.3 million. Due to the land size and the site, there's a lot of them actually purchasing this smaller land size. But normally they don't rebuild. Most of them, they will actually do an A&A or do some construction renovation. For the lowest PSF, as you can see, this is actually by surprise. Okay, you can see this land size was 4,009 and it's actually really go below market price. One of the reasons is there is no frontage at all. There's no frontage for this unit. So the seller decided to bring down the price, I think probably to a developer so that they can rebuild, and they need to buy some extra land from the government in order to rebuild. Highest quantum always on the broader height. This is, as you can see, is the 10,000 square feet for rebuild, and you can actually subdivide into 2 bungalows. This area is actually only a bungalow zone, 2-story bungalow zone. So on the highest PSF, similar to the lowest quantum, okay, is still always in the case of less than 1,000 square feet. So for this case, it's only less than, it's about 900. This house, the owner do a A&A. They do an A&A, increase, and then from, I think, initially was two bedroom, increase all the way to 4 bedroom. So eventually it can actually sell at this price, 3.1. Yeah, and the PSF is rather high on the smaller land size. Diving deeper on District 13, the transaction actually have kind of stabilized down after the surge in 2024. As you can see the chart over here, 2223 it was like 50, 53, and suddenly after the COVID 24 it actually surged all the way to 100%. So right now it's more or less like stabilized. So we will see after which hopefully the what you call the transaction will continue to stay within this region of in the range of 990 to 100. One of the main takeout rate is actually for terrace house. Generally for this transaction, almost 67% come from terrace, and most of them, the plot size is actually below 1,004, which take out almost 60%. And for the average price range right now, it stay within 3 to 6 million. Yeah, which almost 70%, and mainly in the range of like terrace to 70, that kind of plot size. Trend of, and on the other side, you can see actually McPherson Garden, more people are actually buying the land size of 1,000 square feet. One of the reason is more comfortable because anything less than 800, no matter how, if you do even to do a A&A, you can't increase much. Yeah, unless you actually rebuild, and that is a 2-story zone. It's not a 3-story zone. So that's why more people are actually going looking into a bigger land size, like above 1,000. So average right now they are closing 1,002, 1,003 to 1,005 right now at this area. So on the PSF side, okay, we are seeing the PSF, as I mentioned just now in the earlier slide, is average is about 2,000 right now. Easily we are across 2,000, and you can see anything above 2,000 is almost 60%, and majority of all these transacted price PSF is all mainly actually terrace house and below 2,000 square feet. Yep. So these are some of the detail that you can actually approach our consultant who invited you to share with you more details. In summary, what we are looking at 2025 overall is basically on the upgrader because Terrace actually are one of the main actually so-called transacted price where people is looking at due to the price range below 3.3, more affordable for those upgrader from HDB to condo. And looking at the forecast 2026, if the trend continue for upgrader looking into this so-called moving into their first landed, so hopefully with that, then we maintain a steady growth of transaction for 2026, similar to 2025, transacted in the range of plus or minus 2%. Yeah. So these are some of the hot listing. You can see one of these Daisy is going anything below 5, or rather we can actually close. And this is almost, if you actually can check with the our site, it's almost move-in condition. The owner have spent almost like 400,000 to do a E&A. So you can get this house and you can actually pack your luggage and just move in. For this on the corner terrace, slightly bigger. As you can see, the PSF is actually not as high, based on being in the land size of almost 3,008. Jalan Latte is another, it's a semi-D. Looking at with the pool, but no lift, it's actually a 2.5 with a plot size of only almost 5,000. And you can see that PSF is actually very low. This is another move-in condition house. Yeah. So the other one will be a brand new detached. Okay, looking at only 14 mil. So these are some of our actually listing. You can actually consult our consultant. Okay, that invited you. This is some of our internal listing in G13. Next, I'll move forward to District 14. District 14, mainly the transaction, most of the transactions are actually transacted at Kembangan area. If not certain percentage, I would say probably about 20% will be on the Geylang area. Yeah. Overall transaction, you can see all blue color, 43% increase compared to 2024, or for this case, actually it start to come up from 54 to 77 right now this year. We are seeing a big surge. Price and PSF marginally increased, not as much. So again, we look at this chart, slight input, slight adjustment on the price side. I will show you on the next slide with more detail on the terrace. So you can see terrace marginally increase on 5.2%. These are most of the terrace are actually below, I would say, in the range of below 1,009 PSF, 1,009 square feet. Yeah, and for corner terrace marginally increased, not as much. Also the range of about 2,000 to 2,005 square feet. Semi-D, we are seeing price increase and PSF. Mainly, I think people is moving into a bigger land size, while the detached drop mainly because number one transaction actually increased, and the land size actually smaller compared to in 2024, where there's one bigger land size actually closed with almost like 30 million. Yeah. So on average, the detached price actually decreased. Okay. Likewise, over here we see a chart topper. The lowest quantum, again, is similar to D13, where we have always the case of a certain area lowest quantum. For this case, is most of them are in Geylang, where it's either a story, single story, or those historical house where it's actually very small. The land size is below 1,005. mainly for rebuild. Most of them actually in District 14 for Geylang, single story, they'll buy and then actually rebuild. Yeah. So for the PSF side, you can compare. You can see this one is a 7,000 square feet. This can be subdivided, and you can look at it. Actually, the PSF is only 1,000. So it's a very big plot size. The so-called frontage is also very big as well. For this case, highest quantum for in District 14, highest quantum, most of the case are actually detached, where this is a resale. The other type, I think last time we did actually so-called showcase was the highest quantum is some of them, unless it's a brand new. Otherwise, it's within the range of 8.2. And for this case, it's kind of like move-in condition. Yeah, not much renovation done. On the other side, the highest PSF, you can look, it's only 2001, but because this is brand new, it's a corner terrace brand new this is in Eunos area. It's normally Eunos area, we don't have much transaction. 1 year, normally the most we will see less than 10 transacted. And for this case, actually, it's actually a terrace house. Okay, it's actually a single, actually they rebuilt into 3 units, as you can see. And this is one of the unit that actually sold with this highest PSF. Jumping deeper, yeah, we can see similar. So I'd like to share the overall transaction. For this case, is in contrast with D13. After the downturn, D13 was after the upturn, then it actually stabilized. So for this case, it's after the so-called downturn and surge right now in 2025, which mainly come from Terrace, where Terrace took out 65%. So as you can see on the trend side, people are actually going in more on Terrace. Why? Mainly because for the upgrader, this is their first landed or rather their first landed dream home for them to actually looking at the more comfortable price and within the range of like less than 4 or even in the range of 4 to 5 million. Yeah, for them to be to go in for the first landed. On the price range right now, as you can see on the comparison 2024, we are looking at the 7 mil to 8 mil, a huge jump of especially on the 7 to 8 mil. One of the main reasons for this case come from actually the semi-D. The semi-D and some, most of them are semi-D, new semi-D and some detached close with a higher price. So that's why you see a surge over here. As compared to the 3 to 6 million stabilized, except for this case, it actually have a huge jump. Yep. So in summary, we compare 25 and 26. I would say actually if the trend for the so-called upgrader continue to come and what Sean have shared just now, if the so-called HDB market is continue or rather the condo, they continue to actually search in this 2026 forecast, then we will see more coming in to the landed market. Yeah, to buy, I would say then we will continue to see the terrace house as one of the most transacted so-called area for this area. So same thing, you can check with our HLD consultant for more detail. If you need more information, we've actually invited you. Hot listing we have Terrace. This is along Lorong Marzuki. 2000 is as good as almost one corner, except that actually this is squeezed together and the frontage is almost like I would say, if I'm not wrong, is about 7 to 8 meter is a wide frontage for this case, almost move in. For this case, corner terrace is a big plot size, good, very original, good for rebuild or A&A. And the price range, as you can see, the PSF is almost like below 1,005. It's a good catch actually for this case. So semi-D, this is at Lengkong Empat. This is a corner semi-D, where you can actually approach our consultant to get more details. For this case, it's a brand new. Okay, so other listing in our system, we have all these inter or to detach. So check with our landed consultant for more details. Next, I'll invite Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I'm Justin. I'll be walk you through the past transaction for District 15. Let's take a look. So this is how we demarcate the zone for District 15. I'm sure, I mean, a question always asked, I mean, like, we always like to come over here for even take a stroll to the East Coast Park and all that, or even to grab a food, or even for those that like to Hope Cafe. Okay, so a glance for District 15. For 2025 is pretty good. So a 10% increase or more transactions in 2025 compared to 2024. And for the prices wise, it's easy to remember 1.7 and 7.1. Well, basically, if you look at the PSF, it's increased by 7.1%, which is very significant to 2351 averagely for PSF. Later, I'm going to show you which house type that actually contribute to the increase in the PSF. But for the price wise, it's only increased barely about 1.7. Is mainly because, like, due to what Willie has mentioned earlier, the average land size was being transacted was about close to 10% less. Okay, so this is generated from analyzer. We are very excited to have this chart because we can look at the data in different perspective, and even we can analyze the data even more deeper. So you can look at 4 lines now. Basically, what you can at a glance you can see a slight dip for detached and corner terrace. So for both semi-D and terrace are actually increases. So corner terrace is something that we can't or hardly people or even some of the agents we don't do that because they are not available. So corner terrace is something that we have now, and moreover for District 15 we have this called shop house. And also, due to a limitation of time, I'm not going to show you about the shop houses, the market trends. Maybe I can probably show you for the next quarter. So stay tuned for that. And for corner terraces, in fact, there are not many transactions. Probably look at about 30 to 40 transactions since 2022. There's only up in 2021, there was a spike about 70 units sold for corner terraces. So there are not many in District 15, only about 30 plus only out of the 60 in terms of weightage the transaction of the total transactions. Now this actually summarizes the chart, so give you a bit easier to have a glimpse of how the performance of District 15. Now, corner terraces is a bit muted, like the price and PSF a bit like Barry, drop a bit 2%. But the rest, if you look at the inter-terrace, it's increased significantly, a 10% increase. Now, why is that so? Later I'm going to show you a bit more later the later chart. So today my focus will be on the terraces only. For semi-D and detached, I would say about 5%, which is actually a par at the overall increase, like the CAGR, we put it this way. Okay. The chart topper, this is something that's outlier. 2.8 million to get a landed house in District 15 is very, very rare. So, but this because the land size is only 949 square feet. But there again, look at the PSF is 2972. Okay, this is good for rebuild. And the other one is Dido Street, is only 1160. That's for PSF. It's also a single story, which is likelihood to buy to rebuild also. So for I'm sure people like I mean, the Eastie will know where is Dido. It's actually in the Opera Estate. Okay. And the highest quantum, which is this, has been in the market for a while because actually they're asking for 2.4 initially, and now finally transacted at market price. So this, I would say, 2.122 is about the land cost, getting a plot detached land in a Katong site. But there again, Katong, there are still a lot of demands. People are looking at about 6,000 and above. So realistically, if before we were looking about this hovering about 2122 PSF. Okay, the Marshall Road is actually a shop houses that was actually contributed to the height or the spike of the PSF of the overall terraces. It's actually at 4561, which is very, very high. Okay. The norm would be about close to 4,000. That's actually the average. Because shop houses, we have been seeing there's a pickup in terms of the interest. Starting from 222, there are only two transactions, then 4 transactions the following year, then 6, then last year is about 8 transactions for of our shop houses. And today we have one, which I'm going to show you later. Okay, to dive in a little bit, give you a bit more interesting chart. Terraces, if we were to split the terraces into different zones, I'm sure you are very familiar where is Chuchat, Katong, and Teluk Kurau and Siglap, right? So you will see that I highlighted the Chuchat because mainly it's because of the shop house, as I mentioned earlier, the Marshall Road. And the secondly would be a very high PSF for brand new terraces, actually at Langsa Road, which was sold at above 4,000 as well. So these are two that contribute or actually the increase in the PSF for 2006. And of course, look at Katong. It's not because it did, it's just because there was a row of terraces that was sold transacted original at about 1,007 PSF only. So hence it dropped a little bit, like fairly about 7.6%. So, but of course, like we mentioned a lot of time, like just looking at a chart, it doesn't probably it'll give you a bit of impression, but it doesn't tell you a story what behind it that causes the increase or decrease, right? So you have to come to us, like come to all the agents that invite you tonight, to dive a bit deeper, what causes this? Because we can do, like what mentioned earlier, Sean mentioned earlier, we can do like facing, which facing is good, what is like about zoning. We have question also asked that is it good to buy a landed house is mixed housing zone, right? Versus probably a two mixed landed zone. So what is the benefits of buying that? We have that analysis. Okay, so then the next thing probably question also now what I'm seeing now, I'm showing tonight because I'm seeing interest, high interest for brand new terraces. So I'm not sure whether you're curious about what is the PSF or the price to get a brand new terrace now in District 15. Now you can see it's actually from 2020 to 2025, there's about 55% increase. So it's about 10% in terms of CAGR. So this is how the increase are getting brand new terraces. Let's say if you were to wait and probably sitting on the fence say, okay, this is very expensive, maybe I will wait the next one. Probably another 10% increase for next year. Okay. Now, the average brand new terrace is about 6 million. But I'm also seeing, later I'm going to show you one of the brand new that actually clocked 4,000 above. The quantum is actually about 7.5 million already just for inter terrace. But of course, there are also big and smaller land plot. Let's take a look at this four. I'll give you a few seconds to digest. Like 6 Lancelot is the one that actually clocked at 4,488 PSF. Yeah, 5.3. This is the highest PSF for brand new. And look at the East Coast Road. They want actually sold at 7.5 million, which with 7.5 million, what can you get in District 15? Probably you can even get a contest or even some of the semi which is 2-story, right? So, but people still buy. Okay, so these are the terraces, brand new terraces in District 15, ranging from 7,000, high 3,000 to 4,004 now for a land size about 1,001 to 8,008. Okay. Now, in summary, I'm seeing a strong demand for upgrader for terraces, price about like anything that's below 5 million. It will step up, especially for renovated and brand new terraces because the supply is not a lot and it snap up quite a lot. So if you are looking for brand new terraces tonight, reach out to HLD, the agent that invited you tonight, or even can reach out to us also. So because it's make out 90% of the volume. Okay, so like for 2026, what would it happen? Like maybe before I go to the forecast, I may ask you when is your last time come to the East Coast side to have your food, to grab your food, or or even like go there, take a stroll to the East Coast Park. So it's also tell you like there's always a demand for landed property in District 15. So, but the thing is now I'm seeing a lot more shortage in terms of the inventory. Yeah, so I forecast that it will be still an increase for PSF. Okay, we have a lot more analysis come to us. Okay, shop house. This is the one that I'm actually entry price to get a concept shop house. This is 250. Reach out to us. I'll go a bit faster. Greenland is very near to the amenities, the Kinex, if you know about it. Dunbar, this renovated, not many there already for 4,000. Okay, so come to us. Secret View is the one that actually perfect for you if you want to rebuild this one. Okay, so these are the numbers that we have. Not many already, so all already, depleting. Okay, now I'm going to hand over the time to Michael for District 15. Thank you. 16, sorry, pardon me.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening, I'm Michael. I will cover District 16. You can see from the map that we have got 5 subsectors, and of which Q Drive and Jalan Limau has got the most transactions, which I will elaborate subsequently. At a glance, we see a 14% increase in transaction from 142 to 162. Average price increased by 5.4% to 4.7 mil. And there is actually a marginal decrease in PSF, 1.2%. From the graph, as you can see here, the one in brown is the detached house going at above 7 mil, followed by the green color, semi-D, 5 mil, and then the corner terrace, the red one, which is about 4 mil, and the last one, inter-terrace, the blue one. Now, of the 4, the only one that goes down is the inter-terrace. As you can see from the figure here, inter-terrace saw a drop, 3.3% to 3.6 mil, and the PSS also has gone down to 1,829. Corner terrace did slightly better with a marginal increase to 4.1 mil, right, as compared to 3.6 for inter-terrace. And that the average PSS has also gone down slightly to 1.713. Semi-D fared well, 5.1 increase to 5.1 million. And if you can compare, it's actually 1 mil above the corner terrace. PSFY also increased by 5.5% to 1,498. What is significant here is detached house. You see consistently it is transacted above 7 mil, right? An increase of 3.9%. And with a double-digit increase in PSF. And this is the highest, right? Why there's this increase in PSF is because the land plot transaction for detached houses are much smaller this time. Let's look at the charts performance. Freehold first, the lowest quantum is 3.4 for this house at 41 Sunbird Avenue. It is a low quantum. One of the factors is because it is near, very close to the MRT track. On the right, we have the lowest PSF, which is 859, and this is attributed to the land size. If you look at land size, about 4,003, that brings down the PSF value. On the high end, we have 13.8 for this detached house, which have a massive land area of 7,007 and a build-up of also close to 7,000. On the right is highest PSF, well above the 2,000. We are looking at is because of the land size. It's about 1981 square feet with a transaction price of 5.1, which is actually a semi-D price. Next, the leasehold, the lowest quantum is 2.45 compared to the freehold. There's a difference of about 1 million. And on the right, the lowest PSF is 667. Again, it is because of a bigger land size of 3,009. Now comes to the highest in the 99, 5.8 mil for this detached house, which got a blend area of about 5.8 square feet and a build-up of 5.5. On the right again, PSF-wise, it has gone up to 1,747, and due to the small land size of 1,071 square feet. there is increase in leasehold transaction. The number went up to 44. Out of this 44, 23 are terrace houses, 19 is semi-D, and 2 is detached. The price range is as indicated below here. Terrace house, the lowest transaction is 2.45 and the highest is 3.8. And looking at the transaction, the terrace houses are now well above the 2.5 million. Previously, it's above the 2 million. So now there is an increase of 500,000. Semi-D do better. Lowest transaction is 2.65, the one in red, and going up to 4 million. Now, where are all these transactions take place? It is at this location I mentioned just now, Q Drive, Jalan Limau. Look at the total number of transactions, 25 out of the 44 is more than half the percent. And this is attributed to the area which has got this Q Drive estate, one of the biggest leasehold in the East, probably in Singapore. And it accounts for this 35. So those buyers looking for semi-D or terrace house and want a freehold, focus on this area. In terms of transaction overall, two is between 2 mil to 7 mil, 91% in 2024, gone down slightly, 89% in 2025. But anything above 7 mil, there's an increase, right, of 9% versus 7%. And if you look at the highest transaction in 2024 is this house at 26 Bedok Road versus the one on the right, that is 2025, 13.8. You look at the two houses, the one on the left is only 10.5 and it has got a big land area of 10 million, a build-up of 10 million. Versus the one on the right, which is 7,000 smaller land and build up. Why is that so? Again, sometimes one of the features, if you look at this house on 26 Bedok Road, it has got a long driveway. And these are factors that can actually bring down prices. Okay. Now, in summary, we can see that for last year, quarter 2024, we have got it should be 2025. Sorry, there's an error there. 42% in 2025, 99-year lease, and it has increased by 42%, attributed to quite a number of HDB upgrader coming into the landed segment, especially the leasehold, because of the low entry price as compared to the freehold. Looking forward, 2026, we see that this leasehold transaction is likely to either continue higher or even maintaining at a 30% market share. And the reason here is that the houses here, more buyers are likely to get the MOP period for upgrading. This is the best time. And with the two additional MRT coming up, the Bedok South as well as Sungai Bedok, plus the Bayshore Precinct, more people will want to come to buy houses in the District 16, including investor. So prediction is we see an increase of PSFY as well as volume 1 to 3%. Hot buy that we have got 4 down here to recommend. One is this corner terrace at Jalan Tanjong, 6.25 mil. And the other one on the right is a corner terrace, 5.38 mil. There is a difference in price because on the one on the left, Inter Terrace, the build-up area is 6,003 versus the one at Wan Sun, which is only 3,005. So people, those of you who look for a corner terrace, Wan Sun Avenue will be a good buy. And if you want something bigger, we have got this Senate Estate Semi-D. Look, asking price is 11. And this is one of the few landed that have got a very massive swimming pool. It measures 40 feet in dimension, 15 depth, 15 breadth, and a depth of 1.8. Okay, build-up area is 11,000. Land area 5,005. Versus this one, if you are looking for something much bigger, this is at Ave Avenue, price tag 15.8 mil, low PSF 1628. If you look at the detail, land size 9,007, build up 10,000, number of room 8, and you can park 8 cars, right? Here, picture show 3 cars, 8 cars. And one other advantage is there is MRT, there is Simi MRT, walking distance about 5 to 7 minutes, okay? So look for this if you want to say something grand. And what we have in addition are all this down here. Contact any one of us. We'll be more than happy to share with you. So with that, I end my presentation. I pass over to Cindric. Cindric, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Michael. I'm sitting here with, bear with me. Thank you for staying with us until now. Going through the last 2 districts, I'll try to breeze through, all right? So give me 5 minutes. So we just focus on the main thing. Okay, so basically for D21, right, more activities, 49% transaction, mainly contributed by the price increase in PSF, mainly contributed by the terraces and the semi-Ds. 49% translates to about 24 more transactions. Okay, so the charts are here. Ignore the GCB because small volume, so anything you will skew, and it's 0 jump with 1 transaction. So look at the, more importantly, I want to touch on this, okay, which explains the graph. Terrace, as you can see, as I've explained, is gone up, okay, semi-D as well. Now, detached, that's what I want to talk about. Basically, detached, why such a huge, decrease in PSF and price is because, firstly, not many volume of transactions, okay, in D21. So basically, the bigger ones were transacted in 24 versus the smaller ones in 25. Therefore, price decrease is one. Whereas PSF wise was attributed by the fact that in 25, right? If you're familiar with 21, you'll know that the prime districts is Upper Danien, Hua Guan area, and Sunset, Creme de la Creme area. So when you have more detached houses sold in 24 that were from Sunset versus those outside of Sunset in 25, then the PSF tends to drop, right? So basically, just to give you a bit of idea, GCB, nothing much to talk about. Okay, so chart toppers, I think you can see for yourself, just for your info. Okay, quickly, lowest quantum already crossed 4 million for D21, right? So going forward, if you want D21, you need to have a budget of at least 4 million and above. Okay, low PSF, quite rare. This one is because huge land, corner terrace at a road junction, that's why. Okay, freehold ones naturally goes to GCB. Okay, this one, Yuk area, okay, takes the cake for the highest PSF because brand new, right? So brand new already crossed 3,000 as far as 21 is concerned. D21, 3,000 PSF for new houses. Some sellers not brand new are really calling 3,000 right now today. Whether they can, touch this price or not, well, yet to be seen. But just to give you a rough idea, new condition, very new condition, moving condition time, the asking is 3 upwards. Okay. And yeah, Kismis residences. Yeah, Kismis residences are also like around there, touching 3,000, right? Because they are like probably 5-year-old houses with pool, with lift, terrace. Yeah, so this is what's happening in D21. Okay, the thing that I really want to touch about is this deeper dive. Now on semi-D, the one that takes the cakes and is consistently the most popular house type in D21, okay? Showing a significant surge in its demand for D21, 59% increase, right? So, at one glance, right, you look at Jurong Kechil versus Upper Danien. This is for the first time in 5 years, no, since 2020, okay, that Jurong Kechil price, average price has overtaken that of Upper Danien. Upper Danien is actually more prime, as I mentioned just now, Sunset and Upper Danien. But however, at a glance, this is such but because there's a bit of outlier. So initially when I say this, I was a bit surprised. Wow, Kechil overtook Danien, but actually, yeah,
if you look at it, okay, the prices in PSFs were for Daniel were actually significantly dragged down by a few short remaining leasehold houses. That's why. So this is a skewed figure. There were, I think, 3 transactions. The PSF only about 300 plus per square foot. So therefore, drag it down. If you take away these outlier ones, actually Daniel is still the crown, taking the crown. Okay, other than Sunset lah. Sunset is different because Sunset plots are always bigger. If not, then you leave Sunset out, their price for semi-Ds are quite not too far from each other. Okay, 7 mil, they're about high 6, 7 mil. Okay, right. So, okay, now let's talk a bit about semi-D then, especially at the Jalan Jurong Kecil area. So, even though in real figure it hasn't really taken over Daniel, but the way I predict it, okay, with the draw of attractions like the upcoming Reserve Mall, etc., Community Hub, MRT within short walking distance, okay, 2026 may be the year where Jurong Kecil finally really surpassed that of Upper Daniel. Okay, this is evident from the search of demands. I'm pretty active right now in this Kecil area. Lots of demand, especially for old house to rebuild. Okay, so these are the attractions upcoming. So, and especially good school within 1 km. So, will it really happen? Well, keep joining our webinar and then you'll find out. So, basically, summary D21. Okay, the demand for terrace and semi-Ds contribute to the surge, right? So, average prices are catching up with prices of semi-Ds. Okay, from the yesteryears lah, from 24 lah. So, however, we see a bit of a stagnation in the terrace houses price seems to be plateauing. Going forward this year, then the price of terrace house it's already surged past 5 million mark, right? And then inching towards 6 million. So buyer may gravitate towards semi-D instead, right? I mean, I'm not spending so much on into terrace. One, I consider semi-D a bit more, or they may entirely move out of D21 to look for cheaper area, which is what I'm going to touch about on D23 later on. Okay, so my prediction is about still a 2-3% growth because of all these transformation, beauty world, etc. The rest, detached GCB transaction will still be sporadic lah. Okay. So hot listings, okay, these are the ones that we're marketing. My teams are marketing the semi-detached. Okay, these are the average prices there right now. Especially these two are Jurong Kecil area, very hot right now because like I said, the beauty world transformation, high demand. A lot of people want this area right now, but these two will need some a bit of a TLC though. Okay, then slightly further out, Upper Bukit Timah view. Okay, this is a detached. Okay, affordable, below 2,000 PSF, good size. Okay, and then lastly, GCB, Binjai area. This one is attracting a lot of attention. 15,000 square feet, calling pretty affordable as compared to the central area GCB. Hot listings, so basically these are the ones available right now. Okay, next I'll go quickly to D23. Okay, these are the demarcation of the zones. Okay, at a glance, okay, no difference in terms of transaction, 69 for both years. Okay, average price increased by this and this. Once again, same thing, contributed by the terrace transaction and semi-Ds. Okay, ignore the purple line, which is GCB. As mentioned, same thing, low number, so the number can kind of jump. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, now, okay, as mentioned, you see for yourself, okay, corner terrace because not many, a couple of units only, so number like very high. Okay, but you look at inter terrace, semi-D, okay, these are the ones that are contributing to the growth. But I want to talk a bit about the detached. Detached, okay, they're all for D23, all these in 2025 are all 99-year leasehold. Okay, so why decrease? Because 2024 there was one freehold one. Freehold one, of course, higher PSF, higher quantum, thereby this thing happened. And also in 2025, there were two of the leasehold, right, were at Uji area, Jalan Uji Asas. one transaction was contributed by Willie himself. The PSF is 200 plus only. So of course it's skew all this number lah. So don't be scared about this drastic change. GCB nothing much. GCB because the transaction in 25 are smaller plots, and thereby smaller plots, yeah, all this will happen. Okay. So okay, chart toppers you can see for yourself. I don't want to touch into it due to time. Okay. Pavilion, as usual, always takes the cake for highest PSF. Then Chestnut, why? Because naturally, the only GCB enclave in 23. Of course, transaction quantum always the highest. Okay. 99 year, yeah, always this area, Asas Uji. Okay. So nothing much to talk about. Almond. Okay, these are the more fairly newer ones. Okay. So deeper dive. Okay, more importantly, let's talk about this. Now, terrace houses consistently are the ones that make up the most number of transactions for 23, right? Almost 70%. Okay. Now, for a district that caters, to HDB upgraders, condo upgraders, etc., it offers the most. D23 offers the most number of terrace houses, 99-year leasehold ones as well. Okay, so this natural trend now, of course. Terrace house always the highest in terms of volume. So, however, if you look at it, 99-year leasehold ones, the prices are climbing and climbing. Highest number of transaction, okay, and then a lot of them are terraces. So as prices of 99-year leasehold houses continues to climb, what will happen? So it appears that there seems to be a bit of shift, at least from the whole year trend of 2025 that we're seeing right now. It appears that the shift of appetite and demand from consumers are kind of leaning now towards freehold ones or the 999, okay, than the leasehold ones. Okay, this is evident by the drop in the Burgundy. Look at this chart over here. Okay, the Burgundy are the ones that are Burgundy, Verdi, both are 99-year leasehold. You look at the drop in terms of the weightage, in terms of the transaction volume, okay, versus the increase in the demand for the Choa Chu Kang area. Choa Chu Kang ones are all the freehold ones, okay? So pretty significant. Now, so the disparity, the other thing to note is also the disparity in prices between semi-D and inter-terraces are getting kind of blurred in certain area. And some freehold terraces transacted are almost the same price or higher than certain semi-Ds. So this is quite interesting trend right now in D23. Of course, I mean, given that, the semi-Ds, there are cheaper ones versus the more expensive terrace houses. The terrace houses that are more expensive are more modern, but they're all freehold. These are all the freehold ones. Okay. So some buyer, hey, I don't mind, I can renovate. So I go for the older semi-Ds and I can actually spend lesser than in the terrace. Okay. But fact of the matter is, yeah, as leasehold prices keep going up, the summary over here is freehold volume has surpassed 99-year leasehold house types for the first time since 2020. So factors contributing this could be the cheaper freehold houses in D20 versus D21. So it could be an influx from other districts, okay, and the rapidly rising prices of 99-year leasehold properties. Okay, going forward, what's the forecast then? I feel that the prices of 99 leasehold houses may come to a plateau because leasehold got lease decay, can't forever be climbing and climbing at the same rate as freehold and 99 and 999, sorry. So then freehold and triple nine houses, right, will likely continue to command interest given its competitiveness, a competitive price point as compared to other districts, right? So the 99 keep climbing, the freehold. So there'll be a ceiling for the 99, but the freehold will still continue to climb. So prediction about 2-3% in terms of PSF growth. Okay. So hot listings wise, these are what we have. There's one brand new one at Hillview. Burgundy is 99-year leasehold. Okay. So Phoenix, if you want good size with Phoenix, 7,000 plus square feet. At the same time, if you want no different status, GCB 7,000 plus square feet, almost 8,000, only 14. Okay, these are all marketed by my team. So these are the rest. Okay, so without further ado, I shall hand the time back to Willie. If you have any questions, feel free to approach us. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindric. From $3 million for a 99-year District 16 Inter Terrace to District 28 Inter Terrace crossing almost 3,000 square feet to we have now what District 15 crossing $6 million. I think the team continues to amaze me with I think what the market has really performed, right? And let me just pass the things first. Okay. Honest to say, do you know this is the first time I'm looking or listening to them as well, right? I think the team has put in a lot of hard work to, I think, come up with all I'm impressed, not just I think by the 5 to 8 minutes that we're given, but actually by how they can manage to condense all the information, right? So there's a lot more, I think at least, 60, 100% more, 2 to 3 times more in terms of data that they can share with you. So please feel free to approach them or any of your HLD consultant. All right. Now, let's come to the very important part where many of you are thinking about. Given all that has been shared, all right, at least for the 85% of the market, the 11 top districts, what do you think will be the landed market outlook for this coming year? To make it very succinct, you already have seen all the forecasts by the various experts in these districts. So some of you are taking out a calculator and putting out. I'll save you, all right, save you and the hassle of calculating and just tell you that our forecast now, as you can see, is I think remember the topic for today was about would 2026 be cautiously optimistic. Okay, we're still optimistic, but we're a bit more cautious than compared to previous year by forecasting about value total Singapore of 2 to 3%. Okay, about average of about maybe 2,001 per square feet after crossing 2,000 for the first time. Volume wise, we are less optimistic because of many factors that we're going to share later. Because hitting 1,008 in a year is something that is quite an achievement when it's a robust year. But I think this year there's a lot more depressing factors, right? I'm going to share with you in a while. How do we come up with this? I think that's the important part. How do we collectively come up with a forecast boldly in the absence, of course, of a crystal ball? Nobody's going to know. Economists, experts, etc. I don't think anyone can predict how the world is going to be like. But can we just start by saying that I think this is going to be one of the most unpredictable year ever, right? Let's first start with things that we do know a bit better, a lot better. All right, so we have already seen from the earlier presentation, covered a bit by my team, and also what we've seen in the past few years. All right, these are some of the domestic factors that will always affect the landed property market, if not the entire property market. So the economy, interest rates, so on and so forth. Let's take a look. What is the forecast, right? Economy-wise, it is even the government is saying right from the start, from the horse's mouth, and the base foundation of all growth, right, is the economy, and GDP expected to grow by slightly lower, 1 to 3%, after a very strong growth of 4.8% in 2025. All right, 2025. Okay. Interest rate, however, is something that is continue to stay low. We have hit under 2% the second half, and it's expected to be under 2% for the rest of the year. All right, and it's even some banks and recent reports say that you will still continue to go slightly lower before bottoming out after the quarter or rising after the quarter. But by and large, from EDB to banks, they're all saying it's going to be low. So that is going to help to continue to lower the borrowing rate, borrowing costs, and you can already see that a big chunk of the volume contributor is Terrace. No doubt not value per se, but volume-wise, you see a lot of HDB condo upgraders coming, all right, to enter this market. Employment rate is of a lot of people's concern. If you are employed now using your this monthly so-called this income, all right, to pay for it. Obviously, this is important, and frankly, this is one of the most uncertain one because we're hearing, frankly, every day different information. Right, we're talking about there are layoffs, and some people are getting record bonuses, etc. But generally, I think based on a statement from MOM, I think they use similar terms, which is I think there's a moderation of labor demand, so it's not going to be a very strong year of growth. all right, compared to 2025. And of course, with the advent of AI taking away a lot of jobs, I think a lot of people are a bit more concerned about this. Okay, generally on the lower side. Now, we talk about also upgraders just now, all right? A lot of upgraders, we are talking about HDB, condo, and frankly, the impact of this group is so much that, frankly, now we are no longer even surprised when we ask, oh, which condo do you stay in? They say, no, I come from an ECF, come from a HDB, all right? Just now, Jason has shared, for example, District 13, a huge amount of driving to D13 because important part is where do they, is there a presence or strong presence of BTO flats, for example, D13 Bidadari, once they reach that, then there's a lot of million-dollar flats coming into the market, make healthy profits, still young, you have a lot of loan tenure, and then instead of jumping to a condo, they jump 2 to 3 steps and into their first landed, right? Condo price trend, okay, we have seen not a very strong growth in 2025. It's going to continue to be quite subdued. It will still grow, all right? It will still grow, but we expect overall growth due to also fewer newer launches as well compared to 2025. Although there are one bright spark on this is that I don't know whether it's good for condo buyers or not, is that the prices for this year, even for OCR, that means the outside central region, are going to be at record high prices, which may then make actually the price gap between condos and landed even smaller. All right. HDB now is always the source of housing, right? It's the source of housing. We can talk about resale. This chart talks about resale. But I've been reading, let me see whether there's an article also on BTO as well. You can see the government is aggressively ramping up BTO supply, all right, in order to, even in the headline stated very clearly, to regulate HDB price growth. Now, you must understand the correlation between HDB, condo, and landed segment. They are interdependent because you need the HDB sellers, all right, to make the profit, to go to condos, for example, then you go to either 99, you go to clusters before you hit the landed property market. So once what segments growth or weakness will directly affect the other segments growth, unless like for example, in 2025, you're untouched. We're not talking about the base, and then you have, let's say, from the affluent part, from the top, adding demand and therefore a pressure or pull demand to create more price increase, right? Mentioned by some of my teammates just now, the master plan urban redevelopment, I think, is ongoing, and we do not foresee any slowdown. In fact, I think 2026 is one of the years where a slew of there's upgradings, a lot of new initiatives everywhere in Singapore, right? From the west to the east, to the north, to the south, central as well, right? These are some of the major ones. And this is expected, I think, especially those that's outside of central region, because most landed properties are not, with the exception of, let's say, District 9, for example, most are in the outskirts, right? Most are in the OCR. You can be in the east or you can be in the north, etc. And you will not be shortchanged. In fact, you will benefit more, but than, let's say, owners who are staying closer to CCR, all right? And another impact is on block, okay? En bloc has been quiet for a lot. Last year, there's only one major en bloc that was successful in Thomson. I think this year, and maybe with a revision of some of they say the minimum the rate of 80%, there's rumors of this reducing for some of the older condos, etc. I think generally this year is going to be a lot stronger. Now, en bloc is important because they are the ones that are going to get a hefty, very healthy sum, and knowing that a lot of the owners have stayed there for many years, they're going to be very, very cash rich, right? Compared to some of the bank loan financed resale properties out there. Okay, with this, we've witnessed this several times in the market, at least 2 times the last 12, 13 years. When there's a very healthy en bloc, you see a lot of people coming and entering the markets with millions of dollars in the cash. And in the terraces, for example, if not semi-lease, will be one of those segments that they're looking at. Okay, so looking at this, I just want to do a very quick summary here. You can see economy, interest rate low, employment is less certain per se. Let me just jump straight to this, all right? Just to summarize the impact, you see a lot of more greens, that means more positive impact than the negative impact, all right? More positive than the negative impact. And therefore, adding to the forecast of slightly lower than the previous year, when we were a bit more bullish, okay? Now, besides domestic factors, if you recall at the beginning, I did mention that even though last year, 2025, there were really risk or uncertainty, but I think our domestic factors managed to overcome it. How about 2026? Oh, my secret has come out. Okay. There are a lot of things, but I think we can summarize and talk about this for an hour or so. But I think the number one concern or uncertainty, all right, or risk that's on everybody's mind, who's whether you're doing business or you're a politician, financier, etc., is what this person, Mr. T, all right, from USA, Mr. Trump is going to do. Okay, so to end of this, do you really have an answer? Do I have an answer? Who will have an answer? I think even he himself doesn't have an answer what he intends to do tomorrow. All right. So to have a certain clarity or there's some certain responsibility, I will end this by the way we start. We started with ChatGPT, right? Why don't we ask? What do you think is the impact of Donald Trump's and US actions on global geopolitical stability and economic growth? Do you want to know what's the answer? Maybe some of you ChatGPT can go in, all right? Without knowing what's going to happen. I will give you a few answers from various sources, okay? Multipolar, big words here. Basically, you see fragmented, multipolar, greater instability, diplomatic volatility, so on and so forth, etc., etc. I won't go to details, all right? But a good summary will be something like this. This could be more complex, volatile, all right? Growth, thankfully, I think due to certain big growth engines, either in Asia, Africa as well, all right? It's going to be slightly remain modest, lower, below. Important, this is below historic averages, okay? There's a lot more constraint. And these are already based on things that we know when, for example, a country, Venezuela, has been invaded, right, affecting oil prices. What's going to happen to Greenland? We were just talking, my team. Will this stimulate other countries or any other global instability? We don't know, all right? We don't know yet. So with this, frankly, we want to add a caveat. Okay, firstly, the outlook. This is the first time we've ever used this symbol. It's a question mark with a downward sign. Okay, so question mark, and it's a big one. It's the largest one we ever put in any of our things because I think we've never faced a period of uncertainty as we are now. All right, but generally there's a more pessimistic outlook. Okay, as a result of that, needless to say, impacts negative, or I think we are quite fair on this. Well, who knows? What's the outward? Maybe one of the positive signs, like what has happened last year as well, is that we see a lot more of the wealthy and the affluent finding Singapore to be more of a safer haven compared to the other more politically unstable countries. All right, so with that, of course, we have to add a very, very big caveat here, right? So whatever we have said so far or forecast, and I think we can only say so with a bit more certainty for the first half of 2026 because we're now in the market, our entire team. We can, landed transactions, right? Based on this, it will take 3 to 6 months, I think, for fruition, for the transaction to take place. So I think for now, with quite a lot of certainty, we can say so for the first half of the Chinese New Year, maybe Q2. Anything after 2000 and the second half, frankly speaking, we are not too sure. All right, we really have no idea how it's going to affect not just the global factors, but also the important domestic factors that are more relevant to landed buyers or sellers. All right, okay, so this may even prompt us to do a mid-year review, which of course we're going to have a quarterly as well, right? After learning all this, I don't know how many slides and 1.5 hours, I hope you have seen a lot of pick up a lot of information, knowledge, etc. You might be overwhelmed, but can we just give you one final advice after our team we cross our 400, I think it's 420, I think transactions, right, in our collectively as a team. There's one thing that is still that we see, okay, whether you're a buyer or sellers, we can say this with certainty. Number one, landed prices will always rise mid to long term, okay, due to basically shortage of supply and of course increasing demand over time. All right. Importantly, also there's no perfect timing or perfect price. I just got a text just now while Sean was presenting another buyer, and then I saw, I'm sorry, I don't know whether you're in this webinar. Just asked me, okay, and the last we spoke was 2.5 years ago. All right, he was asking about this is what, $4.1 million terrace in District 19. He felt it was very expensive. He just called me for another terrace that has been sold. Okay, and this time is 5 million. Okay, he's still renting. Okay, he's still renting. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I shall name the person, all right? But there's no perfect timing or perfect price. The problem is his budget was 4 million then, 4.1, you're 100,000 off. What is your budget now, 2.5 years later? Has it risen fast enough to be $5 million? You must understand our own affordability, our own financial status cannot, okay, be used as a gauge to the market. The market is always bigger than us, all right? So there's no perfect timing, no perfect price. Prioritize, very important on instead, yes, we'll be giving you a lot of numbers for analysis, etc. Okay, so this help you make some sound, logical, of course, numbers-driven analysis. But the main important thing is still based on your non-financial family needs. Okay, we call this a 10 plus, there's 14, 16, if not 20. The non-price factors, okay, facing the size, the layout, etc. Because most landed buyers still buy landed properties as your home. This is not a purchase of a two-bedroom condo, for instance, where a numbers-driven analysis could make you make the purchase, all right, or sale, so to speak, right? With this, I want to quote, I remember this from a client, all right, to paraphrase him. He was basically buying something that's based, we were looking at, let's say, two houses, right? I think it was a $8 or $9 million, for example. He ended up buying the more expensive one, all right? And this is what he briefed on. Really, a perfect home is not the cheapest one, okay? It's very important. My family needs to be happy, all right? I will buy the more expensive one, so-called, in terms of quantum, as long as my entire family is happy, all right? If not, it will cost me more, because if I don't have peace at home, my business will be affected and so on and so forth, right? But if I find conversely, if you get a good house that the entire family, and good is subjective, if a family likes this place, location, the 14, 16 factors, so be it, it means the most to you. Then everyone is happy, your business can prosper, you can make the money back quite easily, right? So, and this is where we would want to remind you again, I think it's more important than basically making decisions based on numbers. Okay. All right. With this, I know we're running a bit out of time, so I think we have what do you call this? Exceeded almost half an hour. Right, but I hope you understand this worth it, because it's a 1 year's worth of data, and if you have followed our previous webinars, we've actually added a few more items, all right, our analysis inside. So any questions so far that you would like us to ask? Let me just check the chat group. Can you show the core districts table again? That's at 840. I'm not too sure whether this is right. Interested in 32. Okay, so you can come to any of us. Sorry, Johan, if you are still here, if you need us to do so, we can do that. If there's no further questions, let me see. Right, no further questions. Please do us a favor. Let's end the night with a simple Google review. No, joking. All right, this is our version of that. Please help us to let us know whether you have found this webinar useful. Let me just go to the last poll. And evidently, it is very extensive in terms of information. But what we are keen to know, all right, is how relevant this is to you. Does it help you to make firstly, have a better understanding, right, of all the information, and does it help you to make a more sounder, let's say you have really a bit confused about your next step, what to look out for, or what basically happened, and the house that you're looking at, is it really expensive compared to what you have seen based on Property Guru, etc. Or do you find this useful? So if you could just help us to just give us some form of indication to know whether we are doing or going in the right direction, right? Meanwhile, while waiting for this poll to be conducted, please help us to, if you have any questions, feel free to sound off as well. I'm going to look at the chat to see if there's any other question. I was looking at 1 to 5, I didn't see anyone. Okay. So, okay, someone said, well, a lot are 7, 8, oh, thank you so much. There were 10. I didn't scroll. Thank you so much. All right. More than half of you said it's 50%. Anyone else? You haven't put it. Just let us know. We're actually more keen in the 5 and 6, for example, if you know. Let us know how we can improve. All right. Send us a feedback, etc. Because there's a lot to cover. Can be extensive. Good thing is this is recorded, so you can always go back, right? Go to our YouTube. Next Monday or Tuesday, it will be uploaded. You can then digest it in the way that you want it. Well, I've shown you already 1,000+ people follow this. All right. Like all social media, allow information. If it's not relevant to you, you're not buying, it's gonna be zero in terms of usefulness. But if you are making a conscious decision to take action soon, I hope what we have done collectively has helped you in one way or another. Okay. So let me just screenshot this. All right. And post. Okay. With this, on behalf of the management team and of course my teammates in HLD, my name is Willie once again. We wish you a fantastic start to 2026. We have Chinese New Year coming. By the way, a lot of activities coming. There's some charity events and all this as well, right? And of course, we are always on the ground every week, every weekend. So do reach out to us if you have any questions. Okay, all right, and good night on behalf of HLD.